Welcome back to the Blue Chip Scouting Mock Draft Series. It's Jared Feinberg along with Kevin Massare, and we are here to do the Buffalo Bills 7-round mock draft. Kevin, thanks for joining, man.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. We are here to talk about the Bills and just see what we can predict for this coming NFL draft with the Buffalo Bills. As we all know, they're one of the better teams in the NFL, a great organization, top to bottom, great roster, top to bottom, but they still have some areas of concern before we truly propel them to the top as a true number one team in the NFL. I mean, some may say, they are the best team in the NFL. They have Josh Allen, they have Stephon Diggs, they have Tre'Davious White, they have a great safety duo. Um, they have all the pieces in place except for some key areas. So Kevin, give me a little rundown of the
Yeah,
Buffalo
sure.
Bills. What are we expecting this offseason from the Bills, and what are we expecting come draft time?
Yeah, so you saw 2021, 2020, Brandon Beane was a little bit more reserved in free agency. He thought his roster was pretty good coming off of that 2019 year, where they, really had it going on. Really, Josh Allen develops, still had some things to work on. 2020 made one trade for Stephon Diggs. So that was the big ticket item that year, trading away their first round draft choice and a few other extra picks. Kind of the in the days before leading to this season where we've seen some crazy receiver moves. And that was kind of in the early days of like, okay, let's good receivers get traded. He got a new deal at the time and he's been pretty happy here in Buffalo. Absolutely happy with Josh Allen and the way the offense is pretty much focused through the passing game. And then finally, the Bills kind of took it easy last year and were just re-signing people. Thought they could have done a little bit more to get them to that last hump last season. Saw a few hiccups at times with their pass rush. The offensive line took until the end of the season to really gel, and that started to gel. Thus, the Bills playing back up to their full potential. And then finally, this season, you saw Brandon Beane decide we need to make some moves, kind of like LA did to get to that final position. And their move was drawing Von Miller away from the Rams to try to win his third Super Bowl with three different teams. That was something Von was chasing, says Josh Allen's the best player in the league. And Brandon Beane put on a great pitch after he was approached by Von Miller. So the Bills secure one of the better, best free agents in the free agent class, as well as really make some smart moves. Like today, one of the needs I was going to talk about today was interior offensive line, and they go and match Ryan Bates from the Bears.
Yep.
Great move. Brandon Beane feels great about it. The Bears negotiated a salary that the Bills felt pretty good about. Honestly, who's taking a little bit of heat in Buffalo for not placing that second round tender on Ryan Bates. And then that contract comes out to be about the same anyways. The Bills are now pretty set on the offensive line. Some depth that we can go over here today. But obviously, the biggest rumblings I have heard internally right now is at the running back position. The Bills don't think too highly of Zach Moss. They just signed Duke Johnson to a vet minimum deal. He showed some things in Miami late in the season to maybe he can still be something. And then Devin Singletary, who also came on late in the year. They love Devin, but he's on a contract year here, and they will not pay running back. So running back is going to be a focal point of our discussion here today, I do believe. And then McDermott came out just recently and said Josh Allen can't run the ball anymore. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We can't risk it, even though his legs are what makes him truly dynamic. So I think that today you're looking at running back and receiver could be an interesting need here for the Bills, as they did add Jamison Crowder, but they still haven't filled in for that Emmanuel Sanders role, that John Brown role that they like to fill in for. So I think that you'll see receiver for sure, especially with the price of those receivers. Gabriel Davis coming on huge, 5 touchdowns in the playoffs, absolutely phenomenal receiver out of UCF, a guy that many slept on and probably one of the best receivers from that really talented class. Mm-hmm. So the Bills are feeling good with a rookie contract in Gabriel Davis, knowing that they're going to need to pay Stephon Diggs even more money, already making $20 million. And then as well as trying to Jamison Crowder's on a 1-year deal. They really like Isaiah McKenzie, but I think receiver on a passing offense is going to be something we talk about here today, as well as the cornerback too. But as you know, the one caveat with cornerback in the McDermott defense is they don't care. They made Levi Wallace a major player last year. They were in almost potential Super Bowl winning team with Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace, 7th in a UDFA after Trey White went down on the Thanksgiving Day game against the Saints. So with them feeling really good about White being able to come back off that ACL in just enough time, we'll see if he misses any time this season. The Bills are feeling really good about the cornerback room. I know they like Dane Jackson a lot, and they love Taron Johnson in the slot, paid him. And he's a starter in the Bills defense. They play 2 linebackers. So we'll talk a little bit about corner, but the value's got to be right for them because they've proven they will not invest in that cornerback 2 spot.
Yeah, and you brought up Sean McDermott, and I remember during his time in Carolina as a Panthers fan, he didn't. That team really didn't put a true emphasis at the cornerback position. I mean, of course, they went out in 2016 and got out and drafted a bunch of corners, including James Bradbury. But there wasn't like a true emphasis on the position. They were just like, they want guys that can come in and just do their job, do it well. And that's what I'm seeing with Buffalo. And, who knows, maybe they can draft a corner later in the draft to fill in that number 2 role or compete for that number 2 role. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right, let's get going with this mock draft. We are using the Draft Network's mock draft simulator, the mock draft machine, and we will get started.
And I think as you see, the Bills are truly in a position where Brandon Beane will go best player available almost in all instances here. He won't generally mess around too much. And he certainly is not going to trade up.
Yeah.
However, if there is, they do have the assets. If they do like someone like a Jameson Williams or they like somebody there, I wouldn't count it out with their ability to not really need to fill too many holes.
Probably not trading back with Kansas City.
And but they don't have the roster spots, and definitely not making a deal with Kansas City.
But if it were to come up, if they had the option to trade back, could you see Brandon Beane making that sort of move?
I can't, only because their roster's pretty packed as it is with vets. They just signed Shaq Lawson, who they really liked here, Jordan Phillips, who they liked back from the Cardinals. So they don't have the roster. They truly, really do only have 3 or 4 roster spots. Mm-hmm. I can't see them turning in their best pick into. It's possible. I don't necessarily see it, knowing that I think the trade up scenario could be a little more likely when they see a true like Sauce Gardner, a true cornerback there, where they're like, I'm going to make that move to supplement Trey White, or a receiver with the premium positions and the cost of them. That's possible. I don't see the trade back for the Bills.
All right. So we have the best players available at the moment. King and Green, interior offensive lineman from Texas A&M. You have Kier Elam, cornerback from Florida. You also have Chris Olave, wide receiver from Ohio State, highly coveted in this draft class. The current top running backs available at the moment on the Draft Network's predictive board: Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State, Isaiah Spiller out of Texas A&M, Breece Hall out of Iowa State, and then all the way down to James Cook, the running back out of Georgia, one of my personal favorite players in this draft class. So, Kevin, what are you thinking?
Like those running backs. They do like those. I have it on good authority that they have been looking at them throughout the process. It's going to be tough to leave one of those on the board, but maybe they're feeling good with them being 3 or 4 names that they'd like to add, that they can feel like that's a second round target. Jonathan Taylor comes to mind in that early second round range. That's who Breece Hall has been compared to. The Bills love him. I don't know if they're feeling great that he'd make it to 56, but that's where you would see Brandon Beane's very aggressive early in the second round. I could see them packaging to come back up to get a running back. I lean running back here. However, there is a name in Chris Olave that I believe could be a game-changing receiver in this Buffalo offense, and he would add that speed, dynamic ability that they would love to have in that. Maybe a vertical threat, maybe a little bit of a one-trick pony from what I've been reading and studying, but Chris Olave would make a lot of sense to get his career jump-started really quickly in Buffalo and be able to be that presence behind Stephon Diggs and really give them some real firepower to really stress other teams' defenses. Now they have the ability to go 2 tight ends with Dawson Knox and with OJ Howard, I do believe you see the final piece to the passing game get solved here. And if this is the board, I think Brandon Beane's feeling pretty good about getting one of the best offensive skill players in the draft with all those other names that have probably already gone. Chris Olave is the pick here because the Bills, quite frankly, can invest into that position and continue to develop a really important position in Buffalo. They cannot go without receivers. They won't make the mistake the Packers made.
Just imagining Chris Olave in that Bills offense.
Now, this is an interesting trade to me. I'd have to see the running back room, but this is absolutely a realistic trade.
So
that they could make
what I can do here is I can do a counter offer, but I'll hide this so then the offer will stay on board. Yep. Still have plenty of running. We still have the top running backs available: Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller, Breece Hall. Breece Hall still on the board. Would you?
I don't know. Do they wait it out knowing they're all still there?
I mean, trying to look at who's left that could need a running back. I mean,
right. Brandon Beane's getting eager here because the value's not crazy high, and he would love to add one of these names. And the Bills aren't too far away, though. I think they would feel good with adding Kenneth Walker here if they had to, or Breece Hall. But they definitely don't want to run on them happening. So that's a hard decision to make. But I can tell you right now, they're working the phones, and they are studying running back closely as we're at pick 42 here.
So would you want to trade up here, or do you think we can get to 57, see if one of these top running backs is still available?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. The Bills definitely don't want to miss out, in their opinion, on a 4th round pick who may or may not be an impact. But Brandon Beane is good in that 4th and 5th round with Gabriel Davis, Taron Johnson, Matt Milano, a couple of other all-star Pro Bowl type names. That's tough. Yeah. I believe with the board the way it is, they'll wait now. But the second, I'll rebuttal that saying the second one of those go, he's now going to probably swing a trigger on something.
Yeah. So, all right, let's stick to the board. We'll keep on going here, see if any of the top running backs stay available. We will decline the trade from
But realistically, that is a trade that I could see happening for the Bills. Mm-hmm. And if that's less of a compensation here, what do they want back here for that?
They want 4 and 6.
Is that more or less than last? I can't recall.
I think that was more. I feel like
decline that. I wouldn't see them making that move there.
Minnesota.
I think that they would do that now at the 5th round range.
Here,
I do think as long as the running back's on the board, I didn't notice if they went.
All right.
But if they are, I would say that they would swing that. Yeah. And then you have one already gone. They're going to make that trade. I would believe they would do that.
Yeah. The run is going to start here in Minnesota. I mean, of course, you still have Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, but I think Minnesota would definitely consider trading back here if you're Minnesota. So let's go ahead and make this trade here.
Only 11 spots too. It's only the 5th. Now we're in the range where Beane's not going to take another chance to miss out on one of those guys, as the one is already gone.
Yeah. All right. Let's send in the offer, and the Vikings have accepted the offer. The picks probably should be easy. I know you were talking about Breece Hall. Is Breece Hall the pick here, or is it Isaiah Spiller? Maybe
they like them both. Honestly, they have been highly regarded on both. It's tough to know inside who they go with, but I can tell you right now, Breece Hall's the pick. He's the name that might not even make it. I wouldn't be shocked if if Chris Olave was off the board in our example. I wouldn't be shocked if Breece Hall had a real consideration at the first pick. So I think the Bills are feeling pretty good coming out with Olave and Breece Hall, and only having to deal that 5th. They're feeling pretty good about it.
All right, let's do Breece Hall. How about that? Chris Olave and Breece Hall, their first 2 picks. That's already a home run draft for the Buffalo Bills at the moment. They got their offense going here. And here is another trade offer from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's honestly not terrible if the Bills like somebody, but I couldn't put it together who they'd want.
Yeah, I think you want to go ahead and decline the trade.
Yeah, go ahead. That's not terrible, but yeah, go ahead and decline that.
Nah.
Yeah, you can decline
Yeah.
that same type of deal.
Jaguars again. Let's see.
Those are busy.
that.
No, that's all right. That's a
No.
weird. The Bills will probably feel pretty comfortable now that they've scored those. But wow, Spiller's still on the board, so maybe Bean.
Corral's still on the board. That shocks me in this
Yep.
simulation.
Once again, a pretty decent offer, but there isn't anyone right now that I'm thinking about targeting.
Yeah, I think going forward here, you would think the Bills are just going to go best player available, don't you think?
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying some of these could make sense where they don't want to hold this 5th and the 6th round pick. They want the absolute best player on the roster. So some of these could make sense for the Bills as the draft goes on. If someone's only looking for a 6th, Brandon Bean might say, I can't roster that player anyways. I'd rather have the top end guy, especially if there's a threshold there on their draft board.
So might as well go ahead and decline all the offers that come through.
No reason to trade all their picks, but
yeah. All right. This could. Got 3 offers.
No, they probably would. They won't trade back.
No. So we'll decline all of those. All right. So top players available at the moment: Isaiah Likely, Drake Jackson, Cade Oden, Jeremy Rucker, Troy Anderson, Greg Dulch, Zachary Carter, Adarian Mathis, James Cook, Cole Strange, Sam Williams, Jojo Doman, Jake Ferguson, Cam Taylor-Britt, Jalen Tolbert, and then a punter.
Punter might come up here. We'll see what happens. We're not far from the Bills because they did it with kicker and it worked out great with Tyler Bass.
Yeah,
they got a dynamite kicker for half the price. And he's been great in Buffalo. And the Bills, I'm not kidding. They don't punt, though. They went a whole playoff game. They don't punt much. But that is definitely something in my cards here and as we go on. But I think there's a name here that sticks out that I've heard the Bills potentially interested in here between Cole Strange there from Chattanooga. That could be a name of an interior offensive lineman with someone I was going to target today prior to the decent sized deal that Ryan Bates just got. So I don't know that they could still sink it into that, knowing that Roger Saffold is on a 1-year deal and he's getting older. That's a very likely possibility. Or Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback, as well, is a guy that I know the Bills would really like to have on their roster. From Nebraska, could fit a couple of things that they're doing. I think they have to do something with the cornerback 2 spot, and they've already addressed everything they possibly could with their offense. I think Cam Taylor-Britt's the pick here. They're feeling pretty good to actually add a talented in the 3rd round. They didn't invest too much into it and have a guy with Dane Jackson to supplement Trey White and Taron Johnson. They're feeling pretty good probably about that pick there.
So far, so good for the Bills here. I mean,
I would say if this is the way it went, they're feeling pretty good with this draft for sure with some of these names.
I don't think we're doing any more trades.
You can just decline them. Though in realism, the Bills could find somebody in one of these that they like.
Right.
I would watch out for that in realism. But for our example, there's no reason to take those.
Do you take a punter in the 4th round?
I think the 5th is where I was targeting. They traded that though to secure Breece Hall.
All right,
that's a little high ranking here for me.
It was more of a joke, but I love punters.
They are that deep that they could secure one of the best punting prospects in a long time.
Yeah,
I don't think they do it, but I wouldn't put it past them with how talented their roster is right now.
So here at 130 in the 4th round, would you start considering players with the potential to start down the road on this team? Yeah, I think it's very important that this Bills team, and especially any team in the NFL, gets good depth anywhere.
And this round actually is where Brandon Bean does really well in. He's drafted all pros here. Taron Johnson's one of the best slot corners in the league, who's now a starter. Matt Milano's one of the best linebackers in the league. And then they've also drafted Wyatt Teller, a guy who they traded to get up to get Josh Allen. but is an all-pro offensive guard now for the Browns. So they don't take these lightly. The Bills will start to throw away their 6th and 7th round pick. They don't care, but they really like this 4th and 5th round. I'm thinking linebacker could be a play for them. They are loaded at the defensive end with young players. They drafted 3 of them in the last 3 years that are high picks, and Epinesa. So, looking at linebacker here.
At Blue Chip Scouting, I know Terrell Bernard, one of my colleagues, is really high on Bernard.
The value matches up, and I thought about Bernard a little bit in the 4th round, and that kind of matches to what the predictive board says. I like it. I think that they could add to that room, knowing the uncertainty with Tremaine Edmonds and playing on his 5th-year deal. I think that they'll want to keep continuing to add talent to that linebacker room. I think Terrell Bernard adds a really nice piece to the puzzle, and I think the value matches up for the Bills there too.
Yeah, it's important for the Bills, if at some point they end up moving away from some of their current linebackers due to money issues or via trade or whatever that may be, you get someone like Bernard to develop behind that group of linebackers. That would be so helpful to his development into a future starter because, no trades. Leave us alone.
Turn the phone off.
Right. We'll unplug the phone and
Yep.
we'll keep on going here. Do they have any more? Oh, I don't think they have any more picks left. Oh, now they do. I'm done.
Yeah, we should have a 6th and a 7th still.
Yeah. All right.
Well, now Ariza is not still on the board. That's definitely the pick. It's not even hard for them at this point. They would definitely take him there. They've scouted him. They like him. If he's still there that late, I think he's more of a 5th. I'm not kidding. The Bills will for sure take him there.
Now with their
next 6, they have 2 6th and a 7th. Check out the offensive line room. I think that they could.
You want to look at tackle or you want to look at
either actually? Brock Hoffman's an interesting prospect, but not overly.
I like Hoffman.
I don't think he's really raw. Let's see if there's anything going on in the guard room.
I mean, the interior offensive line is more the whole.
Yeah, right. They still got Hoffman's an interesting name. I guess go back to the best available. They might actually just might start picking from there in terms of whatever their board says. Not a bad time to double down on corner. I really personally like Matt Hankins a little bit. I think he could present some interesting some talent that some undiscovered. The Bills will take flyers here in the 6th round. They took a couple last year. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, I like him there. I think that Hankins, they're going to double down on corner, not putting a big investment into it, knowing that the rewards could be high if one of them fits right for McDermott.
Right. And you know what? You're adding more depth to a cornerback room that you could rotate as many of the guys you want opposite of Tre'Davious White.
That's right.
Or you can even rotate Tre'Davious White out early on once he's back from injury. Kind of just ease him back into the starting lineup. So here we are, 7th round, last pick for the
Final
Bills.
Pick, yep.
You go best player available again, or do you go?
They might go interior. Nick Ford from Utah. I've seen a little bit of. Go back to the tackle room. They'll probably not touch a tackle. They'll probably go vet at that position. They have two already entrenched.
Any other interior line you may consider?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably swing the trigger on, if I was to guess, based on now that their athletic profiles of Aaron Cromer, their new offensive line coach. Like, he's a real RAS heavy guy that tested out really well.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard fairly good things about Stuart Reese from Florida. I think he's the guy that they're looking for a late round steal. They're probably just going to draft off of athletic profile. Seriously, they don't. Obviously, the film matters, but they're probably at this stage going to say, you know, these guys are here in the 7th for a reason. We're going to go off of the best possible athletic score, relative athletic score, and they do draft from that, I believe. So I think Stuart Reese and or whoever they deem here if they want to keep going down the list. But I think Reese is a good pick here for the Bills.
I mean, they could. I mean, honestly, they can go any position they want to here in the 7th round. I mean, any team really. They'll just.
They really are looking for UDFAs who may not have signed there, so they draft them. That's kind of what I've been told that happens, at least in Buffalo, where a guy might be like, I have a better chance to make the Dolphins roster because the Bills, you know, are talented now. Like, why would I want to go there? So the Bills are like, you know what, we're going to pick you then. Like, we'd love you to have you. We're going to draft you here in the 7th round to make sure that you don't sign a UDFA contract elsewhere. And that's what will happen here. So I think we'll go Stuart Reese from Florida. I think he presents enough of a ability to bring in, and Stewart might be looking for a UDFA contract elsewhere, but I think the Bills will make good out of it here and take him and hope to develop him at least as a backup.
All right. That completes the 7th round mock draft for the Buffalo Bills. For the Blue Chip Scouting mock draft series, we'll get through the rest of the picks here, and then we'll kind of review the Buffalo Bills draft class. It definitely looks like it turned out to be a really good one. I think one that Brandon Beane would be very happy about. I mean, this would probably be an A+ draft class if I'm Brandon Beane. You get a really good receiver in Chris Olave, who could end up being a total nightmare of a route runner at the next level, along with Stephon Diggs. I mean, Olave and Diggs together on the same field is just, it's absurd. Yeah. Breece Hall being that number 1 running back for the Bills, with a lot of their guys' future in doubt. Cam Taylor-Britt, Terrell Bernard, Matt Ariza.
It was a great draft.
Yes.
I think they were probably looking for a couple other depth guys there in the 6th and the 7th, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I think they're fine doubling down with Hankins and Reese. But realistically, the top of that draft for them from Ariza on up, I think that they're feeling pretty good about coming away with the top punter prospect in a long time, really good receiver prospect, of running back I know they like, and Cam Taylor-Britt, a lot of moldable cornerback talent, and Sean McDermott loves that. I think they're feeling pretty good. And then a potential linebacker, I think they're feeling pretty good from 185 on up. I think they're feeling like they hit it out of the park.
And then you get one of the best punters to come through the draft in a hot minute. I mean, you're getting a guy that's going to punt the ball 80 yards downfield, completely flip the field. I mean, I'm a sucker for special teams. I think they truly make a massive impact on any game, just depending on the situation. And getting the best punter to come through the NFL draft in quite some time for the Bills, I think would just be a huge boost for their special teams overall.
And they're feeling pretty good about landing a guy 6 foot, 6 foot even to play the cornerback position, real physical 205. I think they're feeling pretty good up opposite Trey White that he could get it done. So I think they're feeling really like the board fell to them, really only needing to trade 1 late round pick to secure the running back. I think that's an A+ draft for Beane, and they go into the season very scary, and especially on both sides of the ball, but especially on offense.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. Tell the viewers what you do. You're with Cover One. You also have your own podcast, correct?
Yeah. So our podcast, the Going Deep Pod, is actually available on the Cover One network. We're one of the shows. We're live on every single Friday at 8 p.m. We're live on their YouTube channel. And then we create short content throughout the week. We just had one, if you want to check it out, on the Bills' huge stadium announcement that they have today. that is passed, and that, their stadium's going to be starting shortly. So we're going to drop a lot of good content around the Bills' new stadium, as well as Fridays at 8 on the Cover One Network. You can find us at the Going Deep Pod, or myself at Kevin Massare on Twitter. But really appreciated this. Love doing it. Love bringing that Bills content to your network as well.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next time with trying to think. What was it? You'll just have to wait and find out. All right, guys. Peace.
Catch you later.